A very good day to Mr. Yahya, the lecturer of Multiliteracies-Tslb 3193. My group members consist of myself, Tejaswini, daughter of the Mekanathan, Nurul Atika binti Nur Nasaruddin, and Nurul Awatif binti Arishad. So, today we will be presenting a multimodal presentation on analyzing the elements such as social issues, family relationships, belief systems, value systems, and gender issues of a piece of literature that we have studied in Tslb 3203. First of all, I would like to introduce my group members and in characters. Hello sir, I am Tejaswini.
Hello sir, I am Nurul Awatif binti Arishad.
Hello sir, my name is Nurul Atika binti Nur Nasaruddin.
Today for this task, we have taken the novel entitled The Absolutely True Diary of a Part-Time Indian by Sherman Alexie. Let's begin our presentation from the synopsis of this novel. Junior tells the story of himself as a Native American boy with excess cerebral spinal fluid in his brain. He has 42 teeth instead of 32 and is nearsighted on one eye and farsighted in the other eyes. When Junior went to health service to get some teeth glued, a white dentist believed that Indians only felt half as much as pain as white people did, so he only gave Junior half of the Novocaine. Junior gets to bully and hit in the rest every time. Junior's favorite things to do is draw cartoons of himself, his friends, and his family. Junior's family is poor and his best friend dog Oscar gets sick. Junior's dad takes a gun and shoots the dog to save some money off the dog's vet bill. Junior wishes he could draw food and make it real. Junior's only friend is his best friend Rowdy, who is abused at home and is known as a bully on the reservation. Despite his intimidating role, Rowdy often stands up for Junior and their bond be enjoying kids' comics. During Junior's first day of high school, Mr. P, his geometry teacher, passes him his textbook. He sees his mother's name in it and realizes how old the book must be. Angered and saddened by the fact that the reservation is so poor that it cannot afford new textbooks, Junior violently throws the book, which hits Mr. P's face, breaking his nose. Although Junior's family is poor, they support him and do what they can to make it possible for him to stay in the new school. However, Rowdy was upset by Junior's decision to transfer, and the once best friends have very little contact during the year. Junior develops a crush on the school's most popular white girl, Penelope. He also becomes study friends with an intelligent student named Gordy. His interactions with the white students give him a better perspective both on white culture and on his own. he realizes white students have different rules than those he grew up with, which is evident when he reacts to an insult from the school star athlete Roger by punching him in the face. Junior hit him as he would have been expected to do on the reservation, and he expects Roger to get revenge. But Roger never does, in fact. Roger and his friends show Junior more respect. Roger suggested that Junior try out for the basketball team, and to Junior's surprise, he makes the varsity team, which pits him against his former school. During the game, Rowdy elbows Junior in the head and knocks him unconscious. While suffering some injuries from the game, Junior and his coach became closer as coach tells him that he admires Junior's commitment to the team. Later on, his grandmother, whom Junior looks up to the most on the reservation, is hit and killed by a drunk driver. After his grandmother's funeral, a family friend Pagni is shot in the face by his friend Bobby after fighting over alcohol. Later, Junior receives news of the death of his sister and her husband, who were killed in a fire at their trailer. Junior and his family suffer many tragedies, many related to alcohol abuse. These events test Junior's sense of hope for a better future and make him wonder about the darker aspects of reservation culture. Furthermore, the protagonist is torn between the need to fit in his new all-white school and holding on to his Indian heritage, leading him to face criticism from his own community. Despite these challenges, they also help him see how much his family and his new friends love him, and he learns to see himself as both Indian and American. Meanwhile, Rowdy realizes that Junior is the only nomad on the reservation, which makes him more of a traditional Indian than everyone else in town. In the end, Junior and Rowdy reconcile while playing basketball and resolve to correspond no matter where the future takes them.
Thank you, Tejas. Now I'm going to continue with the second element, which is belief system. The stories that we tell ourselves to shape our personal sense of reality are known as belief systems. Every human being has a belief system that they use to make sense of the world around them, and it is via this process that we individually make sense of the world. This is according to Uso Dominic and Nescolarde Serva in 2016. This is because, commonly, we believe that humans are born with a clean slate, meaning we have zero knowledge, zero experience, therefore zero belief. So, in this case, the parents, experience, environment, education, and our own creative thinking are the ones who influenced us in shaping our belief system as we are growing. Moreover, belief systems usually involve stories or myths, but mostly related to religious belief. Based on my analysis, there are only a few events that show the belief system in this story. First It is in a chapter or a diary entry entitled Valentine. After reading this story, we know that many incidents happened to Arnold within a short period of time. For instance, her grandma died, later followed by his father's friend, Eugene. Tragically, Eugene died after getting a gunshot from his friend, Bobby, when they were both too drunk. When Bobby was sober enough, he felt very regretful with his action until he decided to hang himself with a bed sheet in the jail in order to give punishment for his own sin. So here we know that they, particularly Eugene, have the belief about rewards of good deeds and sins for wrongdoings. However, before he got the punishment from God, he punished himself first instead. Through this also, we can see Arnold's belief in God. He expressed his anger towards God because he had to face so much loss. His dialogue. Then he brought up about Medea, the daughter of King Aeetes of Colchis in Greek mythology, and told us that he could relate to her, until he wanted to murder everyone, everything, including God, because he was childless. In my personal opinion, I think that Arnold should not say like that because it might lead him to get a worse punishment for mocking God. Nonetheless, this is his belief, so I have nothing against that. Value system. Values mainly lie at the core of all human behavior. According to Akbar, Saidur, and Akil in 2011, it was believed that human behavior could be best explained in terms of one's personality, system needs, motives, beliefs, goals, behavior, and attitudes. It must have relation with and can distinguish by the good and the bad. But eventually, the emphasis is shifting towards values, as there are many aspects of human behavior which cannot be attributed to the former concepts, but where values play a role. Values make one's life meaningful and give a sense of direction. The first situation where we can evaluate the value system is by looking at Arnold and Rowdy's friendship. At the beginning of the story, it shows that both of them were used to be best friends. Arnold figured that he and Rowdy have spent an average of 8 hours a day together for the last 14 years. Thus, he believed that both of them are inseparable. However, since Arnold left the reservation, they became distant to each other, because for Rowdy, it means that Arnold had left his tribe if he left the place, so they rarely spoke to each other anymore. Despite that, Arnold portrays a very good friendship value because he still loved and missed Rowdy. In one Thanksgiving, he delivered a cartoon drawn by him to Rowdy. Rowdy's dad lied to Arnold that he were not at home and even made a sarcastic comments about Arnold's action. This is because when going home, he could see that Rowdy was at the window, and he went away after seeing Arnold. Nevertheless, Arnold was still grateful because he didn't tear up the cartoon. Hence, Arnold cannot be mad at him. From my point of view, this is a very beautiful value displayed by these two characters. They held strongly to their friendship in spite of everything that took place in the middle. Moving on to the second value system, which is shown by Arnold's tolerant grandmother. Through his stories in the diary, we could see that his late grandmother had a very high moral values. With that, he respected her so much because she still hung on to the old-time Indian spirit. And for him, his grandmother's greatest gift was tolerance. This is because, regardless of their human types, genders, and beliefs, she will definitely cherish them all. It can be seen in the dialogue. Plus, his grandmother would talk to anybody, even the homeless people or the homeless guys who were talking to invisible people. So, for Arnold, his grandmother has such a good virtue where she does not even care about who the people are. She would just accept them as human beings. That was Arnold and his grandmother's opinion. The third value system that I have identified in this novel is Arnold puts trust on his coach and himself. Arnold was a basketball player from reservation and until he moved to Reardan. His first game as a player in Reardan was against Welpinit High School, which is his tribe's school. Therefore, there were his fellow friends from reservation there. Unfortunately, Arnold's current school lost the game. Therefore, when they had another match, Arnold didn't feel confident, especially after his coach assigned him to guard Rowdy. But thanks to his coach who motivated him all the way by saying, "You can do it," a number of times to him, on top of his own trust and own courage, they successfully won the game. In my opinion, this is such an exemplary value where it shows that even though we are not confident enough with ourselves and our capabilities, it is worth trying anyway, because only with that we could know ourselves better, then can make improvements for the betterment in the future.
The next element of multicultural literature that we have learned in the class is family relationship. Family relationship means relatedness or connection by blood or marriage or adoption. Example of situation that indicates family relationship is Arnold's love towards his parents. Arnold, the main character of this novel, still loves and respects his parents even though they are not perfect and always make mistakes. It is because he realized that they have made a lot of sacrifice to raise him. So here I provide example of sentences that show Arnold's love toward his parents. I love her for that, and I love my mother and father and my grandma. Ever since I've been at Riadan and seen how great parents do their great parenting, I realized that my faults are pretty good. Sure, my dad has a drinking problem and my mom can be a little eccentric, but they make sacrifice for me. They worry about me. They talk to me, and best of all, they listen to me. I have learned that the worst thing a parent can do is ignore their children. And trust me, there are plenty of Riadan kids who get ignored by their parents. There are white parents, especially fathers, who never come to the school. They don't come for their kids' games. concerts, plays, or carnival. So from these sentences or statements, we could see how much Arnold loved his parents and his family. And the writer actually want to convey a message that it is an obligation for a child to love his parents, as they take care of them since they are young, and this can also maintain a good family relationship. Apart from that, the family relationship element can be seen from the relationship among Arnold's family members. Arnold and his family members still remember and love their family members who have passed away. They show their love by visiting their grave to show their appreciation. For example, in the end of the novel, there was a day when Arnold and his parents visit the grave. The sentences that proven this situation is, "Today, my mother, father, and I went to the cemetery and cleaned grave. We took care of grandmother's spirit, Eugene and Mary." So from these sentences, the next element of multicultural literature that we have learned is gender issue. Gender issue refers to any issue or concern determined by gender-based and sex-based differences between women and men. These issues include all aspects and concerns related to women's and men's life and situation in society, to the way they interrelate, their differences in access to and use of resources, their activities, and how they react to changes, interventions, and policies. From the novel that we have analyzed, it told us about Arnold's imagination towards women. For example, there was a part when it was Arnold's first day of high school, and he was most excited about his first geometry class. Arnold admits that isosceles triangles made him feel hormonal because these shapes remind him of woman's curved body. In that novel also stated that Arnold also admits that he masturbates by looking at pictures of naked movie stars. So here I provide examples of sentences that show there was a gender issue element in that novel. I like girls and their curve, and I really like women and their curvier curve. I spend hours in the bathroom with a magazine that has 1,000 pictures of naked movie stars. So, from these sentences, we could see how women are being sexualized by Arnold, who is the main character of this novel, just because of women have their curved bodies, and definitely this behavior will make women feel terrified of men. Arnold just relates something that has no connection with women, and it made him feel hormonal. The next instance that resembles gender issue is Arnold's imagination towards his teacher. This happened when Miss Warren met Arnold and told him that his sister died. At that time, Miss Warren was crying because she received sad news, and she knew Arnold would be upset after he knew about his sister's death. Hence, Miss Warren had Arnold to calm him down. However, unexpectedly, Arnold wasn't sad because he enjoyed the hug so much until he had a big erection. So here I also provide example of sentences that relate to that situation that I have stated just now. She hugged me hard, and I have to admit that it felt pretty damn good. Miss Warren was like 50 years old, but she was still pretty hot. She was all skinny and muscular because she jogged all the time, so I sort of physically reacted to her heart. And the thing is, Miss Warren was hugging me so tight that I was pretty sure Moving on to the next element of multicultural literature that we have learned, which is social issues. Social issues can be defined as any condition or behavior that has negative consequences for large numbers of people and that is generally recognized as a condition or behavior that needs to be addressed. From the novel that we have read, which is The Absolute Truth Theory, there are some social issues that occur among the characters. The first one is the racism issue. Arnold, the main character in this novel, experiences racism on the reservation and at Riordan. At Riordan, he is surrounded by white classmates and has to tolerate racist jokes and nicknames even from his teachers. Apart from that, he also faces a situation when Penelope's father, who is racist, also warns Arnold against impregnating Penelope. So here, I provide an example of sentence that indicates the racism issue. I woke up on the reservation as an Indian, and somewhere on the road to Riordan, I became something less than Indian. And once I arrived at Riordan, I became something less than Indian. Those white kids did not talk to me. They barely looked at me. Well, Roger would nod his head at me, but he didn't socialize with me or anything. So from this sentence, it is clearly shown that Arnold, the main character, was being discriminated against by the white people just because he is an Indian, meaning that just because of the differences of their skin color, other people become racist to him. The next instance of social issue that can be found from this novel is the drinking issue among spoken Indians. There are many parts in that novel talking about this. Arnold realized that most of the spoken's deaths are related to alcohol, and this issue also occurred among his beloved person. Arnold once cried because he knew 5 or 10 or 15 more Spokanists would die during the next year because of booze. Even in real life, we also already know drinking is a bad habit because it can cause many troubles such as accidents, murders, as well as cause harm to ourselves and people around us.
That's all from us, sir. Thank you.